Can you really create a fabulous piece of artwork just using 2 lines and a circle? Is it possible? Yes, it is. Welcome to Friday Art with me, Kate Field. I'm an artist, a teacher and a speaker, and passionate about helping people to take their art to a new level, to help beginners get going, to help more experienced people push the boundaries a little bit more in their artwork. And in this week's Friday art session, I'm going to show you how you can create some really interesting compositions using 2 lines and a circle. We're going to explore using watercolor paints, and we might put in a few other bits and pieces as well. But we're really going to be exploring too how other artists have used this very simple idea of composition to create their art. So, are you ready? Let's go. I'm going to be working in my sketchbook for the first part of this tutorial. You're going to need some decent quality paper because we're going to be working with watercolour. So it needs to be of a reasonable quality, but you could also use wallpaper or wallpaper lining paper, which works brilliantly for doing experimental pieces. I'm going to use a variety of different brushes, some flat brushes, some rounded ended brushes, a pot of water and a pencil, and that's it really for us to get going. Now, lots of artists have used this idea of a circle and lines to create some really exciting work, and Etel Adnan is one of my favourites. So she was Lebanese American. She was a poet, she wrote essays, and she was an amazing visual artist. She died in 2021, aged 96. She was absolutely phenomenal, born in Beirut in Lebanon. Just absolutely amazing. So after this tutorial, check out some of her work because it's fabulous. So along with Etel Adnan, I'd like you to have a look at Vasily Kandinsky. Now you can see from these pieces just how expressive his work is in just using lines and circles and the odd triangle. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to be using some watercolour paints. These are the Paul Rubens watercolour paints, and I really like the vibrancy of the colours. You use whatever you have. Now, I've divided my square into 8. And what I would like you to do, whether you're working on a rectangle or a square, is to divide the 8 so that they are vertical. So they're sort of portrait. And what we're going to do is to work in each individual one really quickly. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this because what I want you to do is to experiment with some ideas of composition and see what works for you. So I am going to use my graphite pencil so that you can see clearly what I'm doing. You can use a finer pencil, obviously. Start in any space where you would like, and all you're going to do is a circle. And again, we're just doing the whole thing freehand. And you're going to do a circle and 2 lines. We're going to do another circle and 1 line there and 1 line there. And this one, I'm not kind of thinking about this too much really. I'm just playing with some thoughts, sort of changing the size of my circle. Let's just move on to this one. Let's do a circle. Let's have a space coming down like this, and then a line across there. Another circle, a line there, and a line there. So you can kind of see what's happening with these compositions, and I'm hoping you're So starting to think, this could be really quite exciting. So I've put those down there. So I'm now going to start to put some colour on these, and I'm going to limit my colours because I just want to try out some thoughts. So I'm just going to put in some just block colour. I'm not kind of worrying too much about going over the lines and things like that, but I'm going to stick to this ideas of blue in this one here. Just put in a bit of red here, or sort of crimson really. Again, I'm not worrying too much about details. Well, I'm not worrying at all about details, to be honest. But I'm kind of keeping this idea of just using one or two colours. And that's the first one done. All right, I'm going to keep with this blue, I think. And I'm just going to go here. Just using the watercolour very, very loosely, which will work well. I'm going to keep that kind of turquoisey one there. Like that. And then I'm going to put in some green. Yeah, if it mixes in with the colour that you've done below, that's fine. That's fine. Don't worry about this at all. I want you to be playing. Very important to play. Right, I'm just going to change brushes, and I'm going to use yellow. And like I've said a few times before, if you're going to use yellow, you need to use it first, really. And I know I didn't do it there, but it's a clean brush, because yellow gets very, very corrupted very quickly. Let's do that. I'm going to put in orange. Again, I'm just going to work very, very quickly. I'm not worrying about going over the lines and that kind of thing. That is not important at this point. Let's just put that one in there. So if you're doing this along with me, be brave. Be brave. Don't worry about making mistakes. As I've said so many times before, all artists make mistakes. It's the way we learn. So what we need to do, oh, it's a bit wishy-washy, that one, isn't it? Let's put a bit more pigmentation in that. Quite liking that. Let's perhaps add a bit of orange to that. You see that all of these colours are going to create a different sort of effect. So depending on what we're going to want. And at the moment, I'm not sure what I want. So I'm going to carry on with this, just really, really loosely. Just bring that together. The marks of the brush are going to come out, but this is quite wet. This is why it's really important to have good quality paper. Let's just pop that blue in there. Let's have a bit of different type of green. Let that move into there. That's fine. Let's have this orange circle. I'll actually put an orange circle in that one as well. That, and in there. So the colours are all over the place. I'm not really even thinking about it, because I'm just encouraging you to play with some ideas. And it might be that you really like it. It might be that you really don't like it. But that's, that's the way it goes, and that's important. quite wet. If this has run into there, that's fine. Not got to worry about that. We're just trying out different things, seeing how the paint moves. So if you're not used to using watercolour paint, this is a really good exercise to get you working with the medium. Yeah, don't worry about that. We'll go over that later. This sort of Prussian blue, this sort of a blue-black, which I do like, actually. I like a blue-black. So you can see that one there. Purple. Oh, something got caught up on that. I don't know what that is. Let's put in a bit of purple over here as well. So trying the different colours. Perhaps colours that you don't normally use. Perhaps colours that are your least favourite. So you can see there's lots of mess going on here. And if you've watched my previous tutorials, you'll know all about mess. It's important to make a mess. Right, so I'm going to leave that messy page to dry. So while we're leaving that to dry, I thought we would do another experiment. So I've got another piece of paper here. This is just going to be with a pencil, so it could be any type of paper. I folded it into 8, same as before. Just let it flatten out a little bit. Using a soft pencil, I'm using a 4B, and I'm going to do the same sort of thing. I'm going to be using a circle and 2 lines in each of these spaces. And I'm going to change the position of my circle, sort of putting some in the bottom half of the section. On there, like this. I'm sure you can see that. Just play around. Now you'll notice in all of these I'm not crossing over any of the lines. I would do that in another experiment. Let's just do a line there and a line there. And then finally, let's do that one like that. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to use a pencil to create some marks and some shading and some tone, and just playing around with the composition again. This paper is quite textured, as you can see, which I quite like. I'm just going to do some quite rough, sort of scribbly lines to begin with. This is why it's important to use a soft pencil. So you can see my lines are all over the place. That's what I want. I want this kind of like scribbly type effect on this one. And we can just do other sorts of mark making ideas in each of them. Like this. Just playing around. This is why sometimes just working quickly, not thinking too much about it, just seeing what you like. And what you might develop and take further, because this is what we're going to do in this tutorial, is to build up some ideas which we're then going to develop into the final piece. So you need to stay through to the end, as they say. Play around with that one as well. Let's see what happens here. You could use charcoal for this. You could use pastels, colouring pencils, chalks, oil pastels. If you've got some ideas, pop them in the comments. What you think you would like to do, or think you're going to give it a go and see what happens. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet and you think that might be something that you'd like to do, we'd love to have you. It's so friendly. Oh my goodness. So friendly and so supportive. Yeah, it's just been lovely. People sharing their ideas, their thoughts. So encouraging for people who are new, people who are beginners. It's lovely. Anyway, the link is below. And well done for those people who are doing the June challenge, if you're watching this in June 2024. Yeah, the June challenge is going well. There's a link in the description for a free workbook if you want to do that. So I've just put together some ideas while I'm waiting for the other piece to dry. Right, this is dry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on one of these. Just going to pop my water there, just so that you can see the sort of things that I'm going to do. And I'm going to take a little bit more time now. I'm going over the top, and the paint on the top will react with the paint underneath, because watercolour doesn't fix. It's not like working with acrylic. And all I want to do here is just to build up a bit more intensity of colour, just to get a better idea of the sort of things that I want to do in my developed piece. And this is the whole point of working in a sketchbook or working on other pieces, that you're just playing around with an idea. And a lot of people get a bit bogged down with sketchbooks in thinking that they need somehow to be perfect. They absolutely don't. The whole point of a sketchbook is for you to free up this idea of perfection, for you to allow yourself to play, to allow yourself to try out things. Because let's face it, who else is going to see your sketchbook? You know, no one is going to see your sketchbook except you. So this is your chance to just have a play. I quite like that kind of with the splodgy bit there. Quite liking it. You know, these look a little bit like landscapes, don't they? They've got that idea of a landscape feel. So I'm just putting in some more intense colour on a few of these, the ones that are catching my eye, and the things that I'm thinking that I might develop further. I'm just popping that there. So that's that one. I'm not going to do any more on that one. The other one that I quite like is this orangey yellow one. I'm going to change my brush. Let's just put in some more intense orange over this way. Again, you can work on each of these if you want to, trying out different things, or you could just perhaps just take one or two. Put that there. Oh. So I do like that orange, and then I'm thinking of this to be more of an intense reddish orange. just build up the intensity of the colour. Just letting that bleed in. That's okay. It's quite nice actually. So almost like a graduation. So I might play with that a bit further. So while I'm leaving that one to dry, I've come back to this one and I'm going to do a bit more using my graphite pencil. You could use an ordinary pencil. I'm just sort of looking at some of the composition elements and seeing which bits I like and which bits I don't think work as well. Can't really get away from the landscape type thing, so I'm going to keep working on that and just see what happens. So I always have 2 or 3 things going on at the same time so that I'm not wasting any time when I'm waiting for something to dry. But of course, while you're waiting for something to dry, you could just go and have a nice cup of tea, couldn't you? How's the weather where you are? I haven't mentioned the weather yet. We've had some absolutely glorious sunshine here in the UK, but it's still a little bit nippy actually. But it is lovely to be outside. And I do really like hearing your weather updates around the world. It's great. It's really, really lovely. So I'm back here, this is all dry. Remember, we are still at the messy stage. There is always a messy stage and we are at it. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to use a fine liner pen and I'm going to pick out some of these elements with the fine liner pen, or you could use a biro. And I'm just going to put in some lines, some marks as we start to develop these little designs for when we do our larger piece. So I'm just going to put in some sort of contour lines on this one, like that. So now let's go back to my yellow one. I do like this one. I'm going to put in these edges here like this, but you can play around with these lines, these contours, see what works for you. And then I'm going to do this one as well. Oh, let's just make sure you can see that. Do a double ring. There we go. Maybe let's just play around with an idea in this section. As we play. Quite liking that. And these lines. I'm sort of using this quite flow sort of technique, so I feel that this is quite organic. But you could do more angular. So let's do a more angular one here, just to give you an idea of what that might look like. Let's put that there. What happens if we break up this space? What sort of effects do we get? Because it would change the way it feels and looks. And what was starting off as a bit of a landscape, seascape type has now changed. I'm running out of ink in this pen. Yeah, so that's gives it a completely different feel. So play around with all of them, and then we're going to go on to the next step. So we're on to the next part. I've got a new page in my sketchbook, and this time I've divided it into 8, but this time they are more landscape orientation. I'm going to do similar exercise, but this time I'm going to use my stencil, my circle stencil, because I want to create perfect circles for this experiment. But what we're going to do is in each section I'm going to do one circle. Pop those, let's pop them in various different places. Just one circle. Let's just do another couple down here. If you haven't got a stencil, then just find something to draw around. Little cup, like one of these is good. Anything that will work. So I've got my circles in each space, and I'm now just going to use this pencil here. Going to put in the 2 lines. Now this time I'm going to cross over some of the lines, not all of them, but some of them. Again, I'm going to work in each section, but I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about it. But I am going to put in 2 lines like this. You could put in some straight lines if you wanted to. You could use a ruler, or you could just put in 1 straight line and 1 curved line. You have a think about it and think about what is going to create that interesting composition. Just 1 circle and 2 lines. I've got those in like that. And I'm going to be using my other favourite watercolours. These are the Anilinky. These are very, very vibrant and I love them. So we're going to do a similar sort of thing. I'll just show you my ideas to begin with, and then you'll see this time I'm sort of taking a bit more time. Then I'm just putting down, I'm going to put down this quite vibrant, well, it's very vibrant yellow first of all, and I'm going to do that for all of the spaces where I want to have yellow. And I'm thinking on this page, this is where I'm really going to work out what colours I want to use and whether I want to have these vibrant colours or whether I go back to the other watercolours which are slightly more muted, more sort of, there's more subtlety to the colour. So it's not the one is better than the other, it depends what you want. And this is why I use both. So I'm quite liking these just shades of this yellow. So I'm putting it onto the page here. Again, I'm using a soft brush and just popping that there. Taking a bit more time with this one, as you can see. And just sort of thinking about where else I'm going to put the yellow. Obviously you'll use whatever colour you want. There's certain colour combinations that we are drawn to. And I really do encourage you to try all sorts of colour combinations, because we can get stuck because we know that that colour works, or that the colour makes us feel happy. But quite often, even now, after years and years and years of painting and creating art, I will still find a colour combination that I haven't used before. And I think, oh, that looks really nice. At the bottom, just putting in this yellow piece here. And one more. I do this experiment with circle and 2 lines with my students, and it's wonderful actually. They'll come up with all sorts of things. I mean, it's a great one to use for, you know, littles. Little children can work this idea as well as my older students. Let's just do that, because I know that a few of you like to do your art with your children and your grandchildren, which is lovely. Really nice. Right, so I'm going to leave that yellow. I'm going to leave that to dry, just so that it sort of stays where it's supposed to for the moment before I put my next colour on. It didn't take too long to dry. I've just got myself a cup of tea. So I need to make sure that I don't dip my paintbrush into my tea. Because how many times have we done that? Lots of times. Lots and lots of times. There we go. Let's put that there. So I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you are coming up with different colour combinations, trying out new things, not worrying about going wrong. And I hope you've come through and understood about the messy stage of the previous experiment, because this is the thing. I want you to think of them as experiments. You're trying out new ideas, thoughts, seeing what works. It's that wonderful kind of what if I do that? And yeah, it might just be a disaster, but it might also be absolutely amazing. I'm kind of putting in these colours here, and I might introduce another colour for another section and see what that looks like. I think I'm going to do that when I've done this bit here. So I've put my yellow and orange in each section, and now I'm going to introduce another colour, but I'm going to do a different colour in each piece, so I can have a look at the colour combinations and see what I like and see what I think works and maybe what doesn't work. So I'm going to start off by putting in this sort of turquoisey blue. And with the Anilinky paint, it's very intense. It's a very intense colour. It's beautiful, beautiful colour. As you can see, as it comes sort of through the different tones. Just, let's grab that little water drop. So I've changed to a fine brush. So I get near the edge, like that. Again, this sort of exercise is very good for building up your brush stroke skills and for just practicing getting those lines, blending the paint through. Now I'm quite liking that. like that effect. Obviously the blue and the orange are complementary colours. So if you haven't checked out my tutorial where I talk about complementary colours, you might like to have a look at that one after you've done this one. That would be really nice. So let me know what colours you like to use, what colour combinations you've decided to go with. Share with those. And if you want to, which would be lovely, you can share your artwork on the Facebook page. But you don't have to. You could just support other people. That would be nice. Let's put that in there. There we go. So I'm going to build that one up a little bit more. So you can see that I'm just tiny little strokes to the edge. I do like this colour combination. I think it works. I think it works well. Let's just get this bit under here. Bring that up there. Obviously you could do this with colouring pencils. But if you want to practice your painting techniques, this is a good one. Right, the next one I'm going to do is this sort of leaf or moss green. Let's put that one. I've just put a piece of paper here to just protect the previous pieces. I do like this green as well, actually. Actually, to be honest, there's not many colours that I don't like. It depends, doesn't it? It depends what you want. It depends on what you want in your particular piece of art. There we go. And I think we do go through phases with colours. There we go. That one is a little bit patchy, so if it goes a little bit patchy, you can just sort of add a bit of water, move it around a little bit, and you can always do a second coat, of course. I'll do that one. So you can see the impact of putting in another colour and the difference it makes. And this is going to help you with your ideas and your composition. So I'll just do that last one here, like that one, and I will finish off. So I finished each section. So I used that moss green, then a purple, then a sort of a rich blue, more of a viridian green, and then the red, and then white and black. And turning the page back this way, to look at these ones and look at these ones and these, and I'm going to decide which of them I want to develop and turn into a painting, and that will be the next step on this tutorial. So I've made up my mind. I'm going to take an idea from this one with the lines breaking up the space, and I'm going to take the shape and the colours of this one. So I've got a piece of watercolour paper, and it has a very slight sparkle to it. I will put a link in the description of where I get some of these papers because they are lovely. But you can use anything that is that has some kind of substance to it, because you're going to need that. Now I've taped it down so that it doesn't warp and go all over the place. And so again, I'm going to start with the yellow. I'm going to put in my yellow here. And I'm going to start to just sort of build up this, and I'll show you at the end what it looks like. I really hope you enjoyed that session and that you've got lots and lots of ideas of how you want to take this idea in your own work. If you haven't joined the Facebook group yet and you think you might like to, then the link is in the description. And if you want to learn more about art and the things that you can do to make your art more exciting, you might want to have a look at this one or this one. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.